This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL. Switched on by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Surprise, we're here.
Hey, come on. We gave him the heads up. We gave him the heads up.
did.
The Jags are in London. No Jaguars programming because I guess it's what, 5?
There is Jaguars programming.
Okay.
There's just no Frangie show.
Okay, there we go.
So that's why it's a bonus
Gotcha.
edition of our show.
Love it.
Yeah. So we're here to talk all things Jaguars. Isn't that exciting, ladies?
Love it.
It's good times.
I don't know. I just got off the phone. I was asked to be on the new Mason Crosby show up in Milwaukee. Shout out to them. This is their first week of their new radio program up there in Milwaukee. And sorry, Taylor. I'm sorry to lead with the Green Bay Packers, and the Jags aren't even playing them yet. I bring it up to say they, of course, signed the Packers signed Brandon McManus earlier this week. They wanted the lowdown on that, and I think they were a bit disappointed when I informed them that yes, as serious as the allegations against Brandon McManus were, the league has exonerated him. Obviously, if true, it's an ugly situation. But quite frankly, Jacksonville has bigger fish to fry right now. Even in the lawsuit department,
We don't even think about
$22 million
McManus anymore.
Yeah. Right. And I said to them, I mean, it also, like, that lawsuit came to light after his contract had expired. The team was not going to re-sign him. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, in that awful 1-5 finish to the year, how many kicks did he miss? And how many times did Doug Peterson bring it to light in availability with the media?
Yeah, he was in Denver, and when the Broncos released him right after Sean Payton got there, McManus, that is, we were all stunned that the Jags were easily able to sign him. And here's a guy who had kicked in the Super Bowl before, right? Mm-hmm. And so, wow, we're going to get this great kicker, and he's going to change how we think about field position because of his big leg. And that story went completely away towards the end of the season, to your point. And now, if the Jaguars were winning, do you know how often we would be talking about how good Cam Little is?
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that he doesn't get that opportunity very often because their red zone offense is atrocious.
Yeah.
Yet again.
Yeah, and it is because it's somebody who, when so far asked to be that person, has been able to be that person. So I think that the preseason and leading up to the regular season, a lot of the talk was more so, again, we thought this offense was going to be enough high-powered that it wasn't going to be even field goals that we needed out of Cam Little. It was those extra points and obviously just the kicks. But now that's changed a little bit, and you do need those field goals. So you have seen him be able to be that guy in those moments. Obviously, against the Colts was one of those. And so it does kind of stink because it's taken away a little bit of his light. And I did draft him on my fantasy team, too.
All 3 of your fantasy teams. Let's not bury the lead here, Taylor.
So
it's unfortunate. They can't even get into field goal range.
Yeah.
That's what's unfortunate is once upon a time, even the Blake Bortles-led Jaguars with Josh Lambo then as their kicker prior to being kicked by the head coach in 2021.
Allegedly.
Was a top 5 kicker in the National Football League for a 3 to 4 year stretch. So even once you cross the 50, at least you could say, you know what, at least we could tack on 3 points. That was supposed to be the insurance to a high-powered offense this year, and now you can't even cross the 50.
Well, I will say the defense back then certainly helped the field goal or the field position because a lot of times they got takeaways, and so it wasn't always the offense that got them into field goal range. But either way, we're not talking about Cam Little today. We're talking about how the Jaguars beat the Patriots. Maybe that'll fall on Cam Little's foot, but I think at the end of the day, for the Jags to beat the Patriots, that red zone defense has to improve greatly. Yes, it's a rookie quarterback, but it's a rookie quarterback who has played a lot of high-level football in his career. I don't think he's going to be shell-shocked by any means. I don't think he was last week. And look, if you're Drake May and you're sitting there doing your film study this week, you have to be so excited to go against this Jaguars pass defense.
Yeah, the New England Patriots last week converted on third downs 23% of the time. They were 3 of 13. They were 2 of 2 on fourth down. 2 of those 3 conversions were courtesy of Drake May. One was a crossing route in which he was pressured, was able to escape the pocket, essentially lure the defense towards him and then take a shot over the top. And the second was a 10-yard scramble off to the right side through traffic. I think you all know where I'm going with this, which is the Jaguars' third down defense must improve across the board, but certainly when it comes to quarterback scrambles in which they are worst in the league in EPA per play in allowing even the most immobile of quarterbacks to escape the pocket and find a way past the sticks. And
even going back to Deshaun Watson.
Correct.
Who can be mobile or has been in the
more
past.
than Joe Flacco, and yet
Yeah.
Joe Flacco out here hitting 18 miles per hour. And so that for me, third down.
Blazing speed.
Third down in particular needs to be somehow rectified if you're the Jaguars defense. But the fact that quarterbacks have been able to run on the Jaguars, the quarterback in particular, we're not talking run game, we're talking about a quarterback escaping and breaking the pocket. I asked Gus Logue this on the Duval Rundown this morning, and I'm curious, both of you ladies, your take. Is that a byproduct of the man defense, that because there's no free defenders, because everyone's matched up, the quarterback just says, okay, I'm going to tuck it and run with it, which is something that Drake May succeeded at doing when he was at North Carolina in college?
Is there another option?
To what?
To your question, you said, is it either the man defense or?
No. I said, is it a byproduct?
Because of that?
Yeah.
And I could see that being a reason. And we've talked about how this man defense has been an issue in many different lights this season. When you come to just blatantly facing a quarterback who plays really good against man, to just obviously not being able to do certain things like that, because when you do have that distinct coverage of the man-to-man coverage, you are leaving that quarterback open sometimes, unless obviously you have a spy. But I'm not even sure the Jags have enough pass rush, and we'll get to some of the cuts.
The Jaguars know what a spy is.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll get to some of the cuts from the Bootleg podcast later, and they kind of talk about that too, of they don't even add extra pass rushers and try and blitz. They have the lowest blitz rate in the league, and I was like, I don't know if they have people to do it, and that may be a problem. And it's because of that, they're trying to find other ways to make things work, but the problem is you just don't have the manpower to do what Ryan Nielsen's defense is asking you to do.
Sorry, I thought you had said, is this because of man coverage, or, and I was waiting for the other option, because they've played a lot of zone as of late. Like, that's how Cole Kmet was obviously so wide open, is they're in zone, and then the person that was supposed to be the nearest to him is Devin Lloyd, and he obviously missed an assignment. So that's the only issue that I have, as far as I think the Jags defense is bad both in man and in zone. That's
okay,
when you
so
know that
just not good.
Right. And when you don't have enough pass rush, you're leaving your secondary on an island, and they're not very good either without Tyson Campbell. So we're going down certainly the depressing hole that was the Jaguars Today poll question for today, because last Sunday, and whether it was drop passes or penalties, they went backwards.
Or they were playing 2-3 scores from behind, and they had no choice, but they had to go for it. Yeah. They had to score touchdowns, not field goals, and that certainly is not a position you want to find yourself in either. One thing, first off, I'm glad we are talking about the Jaguars defense. I know plenty of the Heeligans on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures, as well as the MyBookie Digital Studio, have been venting and complaining for the first 3 days of this week. They feel that we've talked too much about the Jaguars' ineptitude on offense and not nearly enough on defense. So I'm cool with this. I'm cool that we're dissecting Drake May, the Patriots offense, how this Jaguars defense counters it. I do want to address, and RJ, I'm not seeing it on the cut up from Doug Peterson's availability yesterday, so I'm going to just read it from the transcript, because I saw this get picked up by Jets Twitter last night, and I believe it was taken out of context.
That's a bad place to be.
Yes. Doug Peterson was asked on the importance of the defense being able to shut down the Patriots offense, to which he said, well, it's important. I think it's as important too. I think we're scoring 18 or 19 points per game offensively. They're looking at it the same way. So if we can keep them under 20, first one to 20 might win the game. That's the reality of it. It is important defensively to go out and play well and try to minimize the scoring. Offensively, that's our goal. Our goal is to score. It's kind of a two-headed monster, but we're up for the challenge, because Jets Twitter, from what I have now learned, immediately jumped on this, because one of Robert Saleh's final press conferences, he said the first one to 20 probably wins the football game.
Dun, dun, dun.
So let's give some context. That's why I read for you the exact quote from Doug Peterson. He did not say, well, I guess he did say first one to 20 might win the game, but it was within the context of shutting down the Patriots offense, and the reality of both of these offenses are struggling to get past the 20-point plateau anyways.
There's a massive issue to me within your building, and I guess that's the Grove in London right now. If you're even thinking that your offense might not get to 21 points or 28 points or whatever the league average would be. I mean, that to me says that you're not instilling the confidence in your offense. You're just sitting back and going, oh, man, yeah, they stink.
Yeah. Well, and I think that comment's interesting too, considering you have a defense who's allowed 35, 34, 24, 47 in the last 4 games. So that hasn't really helped. And going back to week 2, people were on the text line were yelling at me because I was being critical of the defense. And they were like, it's the offense's fault. It's the offense's fault. It has been the offense's fault. The offense has not looked like how you wanted it. But you already were seeing glimpse in week 2 against a really bad Browns offense that they could pretty much feel like they weren't scoring a ton, but they were kind of doing what they wanted to do against your defense. And that was concerning to me because I knew you had some quarterbacks coming up that you had to face, or some offenses as a whole that are a lot better than the Browns offense, especially without their guy Nick Chubb, who looks like he will be back this weekend. It's really good to see that. I wish they would bench Deshaun, but whatever. And so I think that when you're looking at this as a whole, sometimes it happened last year in the beginning of the year too, when it was like the defense was kind of saving the offense, and I was mentioning the offensive issues, and people were like, but they're winning, and I was like, the defense is saving them. I think there were moments early in this year where, because the offense was playing so bad, especially in the second half of the games, that it made people think the defense wasn't playing as bad as they were, and it all caught up. Now both sides of the ball are playing equally bad, and it's just this whole outcome of a problem now. And I think you do have to look at both sides, and I think you do have to look at both sides' coordinators, because it's issues that bleed deeper than just beyond the talent, because I do think there's talent on each side of the ball.
Stop me if you've heard this before. The Patriots are coming into this game really banged up. Yeah. Hasn't every team that the Jaguars have faced, maybe other than the Dolphins week 1, been banged up?
The Jags have also had a knack for facing an offensive line that's been banged up and among the league worst in pressures allowed. The New England Patriots, statistically speaking, Lauren, through 6 weeks of the season, are the worst. The second worst are the Browns, and we saw how that matchup went against third and fourth string offensive linemen.
Oh, boy. All right, we'll continue to talk Jags, Patriots, and a whole lot more when we return. Bootleg, the podcast, had some interesting comments on the Jags. Certainly the defense was among those. So we will get to that. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on a Thursday afternoon, on a gorgeous Thursday afternoon here in Jacksonville on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
No static ever. Download the free 1010XL app for Apple and Android devices and take us with you wherever you go. 1010XL.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Hello there. Brendan from Play It Again Sports here to congratulate all the parents for surviving another summer. The kiddos are back to school, and you know what that means? Sports are back. But don't fret. Play It Again Sports has the gear you need at prices worthy of excessive celebration. From sluggers and shooters to clappers and benders, Play It Again Sports can turn your kids into goats. Stop in today on Merrill Road near 295 or online at playitagainjacks.com.
Hicken here for the Borland Groover Foundation. If you're 45 or older, you need to get screened for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about getting a colonoscopy. The key to surviving colon cancer, early detection and prevention. Borland Groover recently expanded into St. Johns County. The new and advanced surgery center and medical office is open in Durbin Crossing. Visit BorlandGroover.com for a location near you. Remember, 45 is the new 50. Get screened today with Borland Groover.
A different path means a new hope for Miami football this season.
Find out what you need to know about the Canes on the Performance Painting Hurricane Report.
Keep an eye on the Canes as they strike back on 1010XL. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler with a beautiful selection of fine jewelry and GIA-certified diamonds. But we're also Jacksonville's leading buyer of gold, silver, and diamonds from the public. Gold has recently hit an all-time high at over $2,300 per ounce and hasn't seen this level in over 13 years. Pay bills, buy something fun. Now is the time to sell your gold for cash and get top dollar, or trade it for a new piece and get even more value at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Get off the ladder and put on the helmet with Gutter Helmet of North Florida. We are family owned and manufactured locally. Cleaning your gutters is a dangerous and dirty job. That's why with Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. Water goes in your gutters while trash and debris go on the ground. It won't collect like filters do. Gutter Helmet protects. Call now for 10% off and a free gutter cleaning and tune-up with your purchase of Gutter Helmet. Call 904-762-7779.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS right here in Jacksonville is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE NeoGraft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS.
IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
When you need a plumber,
Call Duck Duck Rooter.
when you need your septic tank pumped out,
Call Duck Duck Rooter.
when you need any septic or plumbing issue fixed right the first time.
Call Duck Duck Rooter.
Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services. DuckDuckRooter.com.
Former Gator and Jaguars linebacker Mike Peterson and Mandarin standout and Gator cornerback Fred Weary will be inducted into the Florida Georgia Hall of Fame. For tickets to the celebration lunch Friday, November 1st, go to GAFLJax.com.
Introducing Gatorade Water. Alkaline and electrolyte infused for great taste. Gatorade Water, always in motion.
Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. For the athletes who give everything, nothing beats Gatorade, the studied, tested, and proven fuel of the world's greatest athletes. Gatorade Water, proudly supporting high school sports on the First Coast.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
16 years serving great craft beer in Jacksonville is saying something, and that's worth a round of applause. And Bold City Brewery is celebrating. Duval's oldest brewery is set up for a big party October 12th, and you don't want to miss it. All the details are at boldcitybrewery.com.
This season, check out our revamped website at southernsteerbutcher.com. Click on the Promotions tab, and our Jacksonville Weekly Grilling Specials will hit you in the face like a hot route over the middle.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
1010XL is presented by Farrah and Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
This is Helmets and Heels.
Kept classy by First Coast Lighting and Fans. Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor.
On 1010XL.
Me O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Thursday afternoon. You know, at 1-5, it feels like the Jaguars are really teetering confidence-wise. Like, if they don't win this Sunday, it's going to be hard to predict them to win a football game for quite some time.
Yeah.
But if they do win on Sunday, at least they get their confidence back and they taste that winning feeling again. It just feels, like I said, it feels like that confidence is getting so close to being completely eradicated this season. All right, so the guys at Bootleg Football, have we had both of them on, Taylor?
We've had EJ on. I don't think we've ever had Brett on here.
Okay, so we
have played other clips from them before because they did do their preseason kind of evaluations of every team in the NFL. And when they did the Jags ones, we did play some of those clips from that because they did have concerns preseason about the coaching staff, about some of the other things that were kind of being thrown into this team. They kept using the word weird in it, and that's right. We've heard that word weird many times now since. But yeah,
not normal, as the meme suggests. Why can't you just be normal? They cannot be normal.
Normal, yes. And they both talked about the talent on paper and how they did like a lot of the pieces. They both do like Trevor Lawrence. And so they did have a lot of positives in the preseason. They were just wondering how everything was going to kind of work.
So this gives me the idea that I'm not going to training camp next year. I'm just going to listen to the Bootleg Football Podcast, see what they say, and save all those hours of sweating out there in the hot sun. All right, let's start with what we were just discussing, and that is Ryan Nielsen's defense.
Because if you're looking at Ryan Nielsen's defense, they are, I think it's third. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Third in cover one. So man coverage, right? In terms of proportion of all their coverage snaps that are man coverage. So they're third in cover one without Tyson Campbell, their best corner. They don't have anybody else who's really good in man coverage. So they're calling something repeatedly over and over and over again that they're not good at. So their DBs are constantly being lit up. They are 27th in terms of pressure rate. So their pass rush isn't that good, while also being dead last in blitz rate. So they're not blitzing enough to help out their pass rush, because they can't get home with 4, but they're not willing to send 5 or 6. So you have a bunch of guys covering that can't cover and a bunch of guys rushing that can't rush. And then you wonder why they're one of the worst defenses in the NFL in virtually every single metric. And then I think it's second worst EPA per play, which I like the grandfather stat of everything, right? Takes everything into account. They're second worst in terms of EPA per play, only in front of the Rams, who we're also going to talk about today.
Yeah, so all of those signal you're getting, in his words, lit up defensively.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me because it goes back. One of my biggest complaints this offseason was getting rid of Darius Williams. And granted, he's been injured, so he hasn't even played this season so far. But everyone was telling me Ronald Darby was this man guy, and that's why Ryan Nielsen needed him here in Jacksonville. I'm just not seeing it. I've seen maybe glimpses here and there of it, but at some point this does have to come back to your coordinators, and at some point your coordinators have to say, I know this is what I like to do, but we don't have the manpower on the field to successfully execute this right now in this moment, especially without a guy like Tyson Campbell. And so you change things, you change your defense, and you can't just completely flip it to what you've practiced all this preseason and all the, obviously through training camp, but you can't alter things. You can do less, and we have seen a little bit less of the man, but they still have the third highest man. And I was just looking at the coverage rate, still 37%. And then when they disguise things and still do man, and that one, like the cover 2M, it's like over 40% still. That's the highest rate in the league when it comes to those two combined for that man coverage. So they're still doing it very, very heavily, and without the main guy who can make it work on the football field the most.
And so here's the thing, and we were discussing this morning on the podcast as well, which is available on the 1010XL Jaguars channel. Like, it was one thing circa 2021 when Joe Cullen said, I want to run a man defense in Jacksonville, and then quickly realized that Shaq Griffin was a zone corner and Tyson Campbell was still a young pup who couldn't turn his head around and see the ball. And so they had to move to a zone system. And you saw it in real time. Yeah. You saw a definitive.
Start transitioning massively, yes.
He was transparent, too. He said, look, we wanted to run it. Not going to work. We got to win football games. That is what is so strange right now, is that we've seen, to your point, Lauren, them go to a zone defense more often. But at the same time, you then have to compensate in other ways. You have to scout your opponent, i.e., you're going to be going up against an offensive line that arguably is the worst in the National Football League. Again, stop me if you've heard that before. But at the very least, statistically speaking, gives up the most pressures in the National Football League through 6 weeks of the season. Knowing you also just dealt away one of your edge rushers, granted, Doug Peterson says that they have depth at that position. I don't know if that's defensive end or defensive tackle with no Roy Robertson-Harris.
I think he said tackle.
Okay. You still haven't gotten an interior push. And I don't know who you have behind Trayvon and Josh, but besides the point.
Nobody.
So then wouldn't you blitz?
I would.
Because that is scouting your opponent. That is recognizing a weakness, and that is adapting to week by week, as opposed to just coming out in what looks like a vanilla defensive operation that goes away from the attack mindset that everybody had on their hats and their T-shirts during the preseason at the Miller Electric Center.
Yeah, veteran quarterbacks can recognize a blitz, and they know the hot route, and they get the ball out quickly, they find their guy, and they move along. But a rookie quarterback, that is an area where typically they struggle. Not all guys struggle there. Jaden Daniels has played well, and certainly so has Caleb Williams at times against the blitz as well. But you would expect that would confuse Drake May, because this is only his second football game. So we shall see if maybe there's a bit of an adaptation this week and an adjustment by Ryan Nielsen. It hasn't happened so far, so that leads me to believe probably not. That's not their defense. That's not their system. And I've heard a lot of people clamoring for Devin Lloyd to become a pass rusher more because he doesn't know where he is as a linebacker anyways. So again, we'll see if maybe that happens. He certainly rushed the passer at Utah.
Well, here's the thing. They're in the bottom 3 of blitz rate.
Of everything.
Well, of everything, yes. Well said. But in blitz rate, they're in the bottom 3.
Yeah.
Ryan Nielsen's defense, which did not have the personnel that it does in Jacksonville last year in Atlanta, was 17th. So what changed? Because last I checked, this was a move that was made to move away from Mike Caldwell, bring in Ryan Nielsen, because they wanted a more aggressive defense.
Yeah.
And they're not aggressive. Yeah. I don't know. I'm out of answers.
And it goes obviously week to week. You can't just say this is what the defense is and this is what it's going to be every week. If you look at some of the other the coverage charts around the league, the best teams are the ones that can do a little bit of everything and they don't have 30-40% of any one coverage, because that's how you start. You're disguising things, obviously. You want to be able to do that. But you also don't want to be so predictable against the teams that you're playing. And when you go back to, this is the perfect week. Caleb, the previous 2 weeks against the Blitz, I had read that stat, 17 for 19, 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. You probably didn't want to blitz Caleb Williams, but you do want to blitz Drake May. And so that is something that you would hope that Ryan Nielsen is watching and saying, okay, this is a guy in his second start in the NFL. That's when those first 2 weeks with Caleb, he was getting rocked with those. That's why the Texans blitzed on 70% of their third downs against the Bears, because they knew Caleb was still trying to figure out and get that game speed and kind of figure out some of that stuff. Perfect timing to take advantage of that this weekend.
Let's also, at this juncture, you're 1-5. Why are you not throwing the kitchen, everything but the kitchen sink?
Yeah.
That's from a big picture, take football out of it perspective. You should be pulling out all the stops right now just to see if, throw the spaghetti against the wall and see if it sticks or not.
Yeah.
Instead of just trotting out the same exact thing that isn't working.
Yeah, I think their response to that would be, well, that's just not who we are. And that's what's so frustrating, because other teams... But
who are you?
Right. Other teams can change and can lose. Let's see what happens with the Lions. They just lost their best pass rusher by far. Really, their only guy that gets the quarterback consistently. How are they going to adjust their defense? I guarantee they're going to.
Yeah.
Because Dan Campbell
came coordinators
out.
Also.
Right. Campbell came out and said, we're not in a hurry to fix the pass rush, right? Or at least address it right now. Either way, we'll hear more from Bootleg Football when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This is 1010XL.
Always us on 3. 1, 2, 3. Always us.
Home of the Jaguars.
Here's Linda Beaver.
Let's start the debate. Why would someone buy a new car from you? We have an exclusive 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty on every new vehicle. We offer a competitive wow price plus free oil changes. How much will someone get for their trade? We offer more than $4,000 over KBV value. Well, we never lose a trade over price. Okay, when is the best time to buy a car? Right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't matter which side you pick. At Beaver Toyota and Beaver Chevrolet, you get it all. Let us show you why we're the winning vote.
Mia here for MyBookie. Our listeners have been killing it in a year full of surprises. MyBookie is the one book that has your back. No fluff, no second guessing, just straight up action. Does your other sports book pay out when you push on a bet? MyBookie pays you back. And if you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we've got you covered. Step 1, use promo code 1010XL. That'll double your bankroll with a 100% deposit bonus right from the jump. Here's a pro tip to get you rolling. The NFL teams with powerhouse offensive lines are dominating the run game this year, and betting game total unders have been printing money. Stack that with MyBookie's Risk-Free Thursdays. That's right, a new risk-free odds boost each and every Thursday, including today. To find the bet, click the Bet Boost tab and scroll down. If it hits, you win. If it doesn't, MyBookie refunds your money. Sign up now with promo code 1010XL and get your double deposit bonus with MyBookie, the best sign-up bonus for Florida bettors. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere with MyBookie.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
1 second left. Packers are down by 6 at the goal line. Your defense is the only thing stopping them from scoring. Is your team prepared? Double-Check Cybersecurity has your back. With an AI-powered defense, start your 14-day trial at doublecheck.com.
Grab your lucky spot on the couch, because traditions make Sunday easy to enjoy. Bud Light, easy to Sunday, easy to enjoy. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch. Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, it's Mike Dempsey, and you know how I feel about Pella Windows and Doors. Great design, strongest warranties, and the highest quality products. I even chose Pella Windows for my own home. And whether you're a homeowner replacing windows or building a new home or a trade professional working with clients, I know the design experts at Pella will help your project run smoothly and look great. Visit PellaJacks.com or the Pella showroom on Phillips Highway at Pella Windows and Doors.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On October 17, 1971, the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Baltimore Orioles in Game 7 to claim the World Series. Pirates outfielder Roberto Clemente is awarded MVP.
When it comes to towing products, your safety on the road is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Whether it's a heavy-duty tow hitch, trailer frame, wiring, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com to explore a range of products and schedule your installation. Cannons of Jacksonville, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
I feel like I'm constantly cleaning hair off my bathroom floor. At least my Swiffer Sweeper makes it easy. Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths have ultra-thick pads to trap and lock hairs, like a hair magnet. And when I'm finished cleaning up my hair, Sweeper takes care of his too. Now the hair's gone. All thanks to Swiffer. Try Swiffer Sweeper heavy-duty dry cloths. I promise you'll love them or your money back. And also try Swiffer Sweeper Wet to make quick work of tough, sticky messes.
The Florida Forum welcomes former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, October 29th. Funds raised for a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,500 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. To get your tickets, click thefloridaforum.com or call 202-2886. 202-2886.
Homeowners, listen up. The Fed has taken action, lowering rates for the first time in years, and Loan Pronto has followed suit, lowering mortgage rates big time. Prosser here. That means this is the best chance in 2 years to do a cash-out refi and unlock all that equity at an amazing rate. Loan Pronto has fixed loans under 5% APR, the lowest in 2 years. You can get a fast refi and get $50,000 to $75,000, even $100,000 in cash. Use it to pay off all your credit cards, personal loans, car loans. You'll end up with one payment each month. And for most homeowners, they save over $850 every month. If you want to keep your original mortgage intact, ask about the Loan Pronto Express Equity Line of Credit. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. 999-1508 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781.
This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, head team physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jags, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars safety Andre Sisco made headlines this week by saying there was, quote, a lot of quit in Sunday's loss in London to the Bears. Jaguars defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen was asked if he saw any quit on film.
You know, there's some plays that we just got to play hard. You know, we've had a conversation, Andre, and just where your thoughts are. You know, where did that come from? And you never want to hear that. Like, that's not anything as a coach. You know, we've talked about it, and I think we'll go out there and we'll play hard. Like, that's the message. You know, you're going to continue to hear that and just play hard every snap. You know, so that never happens again.
Jaguars defensive coordinator Ryan Nielsen. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Helmets and Heels is switched on by
First Coast Lighting and Fans.
Upscale lighting, fans, and home decor on 1010XL.
We'll continue this Jaguars conversation as we go along. We will talk some Miami football in the second hour of the program with our friend Adam Lichtenstein of the Sun Sentinel. But we are talking about this Jaguars team. And I have to say it like that because when you're, to me, the clip from Bootleg, the podcast, to me, this is the worst clip, or not the worst clip. It's the best clip because it shows the deficiencies of this Jaguars team and how bad they are at situational football.
Like, they're second in terms of red zone penalties. They get down there and then they do a hold or they do a false start and they set themselves back and they can't close the, like, this team, when it comes to like situational football, is the worst situational football team in the NFL. And it's not even really close. Like, the coaching job is so bad. Like, if you get that out-coached by Matt Eberflus, you're getting fired. I'm sorry. You just are.
Taylor, would you like to respond first?
I'm one of the few people that like Matt Eberflus, so I get it though, because he's a defensive-minded coach. So people get upset because, like, when the offense is fluttering or not doing really what they need to do, people are blaming Matt. But, like, you hired a defensive coach. You know when you hire a defensive coach that it's going to be up to your offensive coordinator and that offensive side of the ball when it comes to the coaching staff to be able to get them going. To me, Matt Eberflus has done everything he's needed to do with his side of the ball. He took a defense that was in the probably 25th in the league in the beginning of last year to now being a top 3 defense in a year. And the team, even with losing and with drama with Justin Fields and with Justin Fields getting injured every other week and having to play Tyson Bagent and all of this other stuff, never lost his football team. Like, the Bears never stopped coming in, and like when they'd win a game, even when it was only their 4th win, we're still in there having a good time. And to me, that does reflect on your coach. And we talk about that word here when it comes to effort. The Bears never lacked their effort of what they wanted to put on the football field for Matt Eberflus, and so that's why I do like him. There are moments where it's like, and that's why where I think he was kind of going in this, when you're getting outcoached against Matt Eberflus, because Matt Eberflus does have some issues when it comes to challenging the wrong things and not challenging things when he should. He's had some bad timeout moments, things like that, and so those have kind of been some critical things on him, but the Bears have been really, really good when it comes to avoiding penalties. A very disciplined football team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and that is just not what you are obviously seeing in Jacksonville. And I think that's what he's talking about when we talked about when the Jags were driving, and then 3 back-to-back penalties on defense that just kept giving the Bears pretty much just like
allowed them to literally go up and down the field.
Yeah.
And that's coaching.
Yes.
That's, if there's one thing that,
especially pre-snap stuff.
Right. Well, especially when, to the point of, Gibby brought it up in the update, so we can connect the two. The idea of quit and the idea of being lackadaisical or taking plays off. Pete Prisco noted it on Happy Hour, and that was my biggest takeaway, because I don't want to put all of this on Devin Lloyd on the Cole Kmet touchdown. But the fact that they got 12 men on the field because they were jogging for substituting on and off the field.
Yeah.
The least Hamilton couldn't get off the field.
The least you could do is sprint or go down if you're hurt. Yeah. That's fine.
Or fake an injury like we see in
I would say, ask Lane Kiffin. You can do that. Yeah. It's allowed.
I mean, you see other teams, guys down, injured, crawling as fast as they can off the field when they can't even use their ankles.
Alan Hearns one year against the Chargers, that game, he had hurt his ankle or knee, one of the two, and he, crawled off the field. But that, I think Taylor just made a really good point, and that is, even when the Bears were struggling, they were still fighting and competitive, and they just lacked the talent.
That's what we just said about
the opposite here.
It's what we said about the Giants after Sunday Night Football. Like, I know Brian Daboll is also on the hot seat, but it at the very least looks like they are playing hard. They are putting out effort onto the football field to try to execute the game plan. Yes, you have Daniel Jones, who's going to throw a lollipop interception here and there. That's a deficiency in talent. But if you can at least out-effort someone, you put yourself in a position to win. That's why the Giants won 9 games in 2022, because there was effort and there was buy-in. And if you're not seeing that, then it is no longer a question of talent or execution. Then it is a matter of the entire operation and coaching.
It feels like these players are not bought in to the coaching staff. That's what it feels like from here. We're not in London. We're not around the team this week. But that's what it feels like, is that they no longer have respect for those guys, and therefore now they're losing respect for each other. All right, so who, let's ask Bootleg Football, who is this on to fix everything?
Get that culture change that Peterson says, well, I don't know. In teaching, we call that lack of classroom control, right? It feels like Peterson lacks classroom control. He's got these students or coordinators or whatever, and he's like, I don't know, they just won't listen. Like, it's your job as the guy at the front of the room to say, hey, straighten up. We need to run the ball a little bit more. We need a little bit more emphasis here. Whatever you're doing with the defensive lineman, we need a tweak. Like, it's not hopeless from a talent perspective, but it feels hopeless under the current structure. So that structure has to change.
This reminded me so much of going back to last year in December when I was asking you, Mia, and when all of the defensive stuff started coming out of how crazy things were. And I was like, why didn't Doug say or do something earlier? You're the head coach of the team. And when you see that things are not functioning the way that you feel at a high standard as they should be functioning in the NFL, why are you waiting until the end of December to make any moves or any comments or anything like that? Because if by the time the media find out about it, that means it's been happening for a really long time, probably behind closed doors. And I kind of called that out.
You did.
At that moment of, I don't know if I fully trust Doug to be able to fully fix everything. And I think it's worth a conversation of, was Doug the right hire when it was to come in and just wipe away the hot mess that was Urban Meyer? And can two things be right? That was the right move, but it's not the right move to keep him any longer.
Right. No, it's absolutely a valid argument. I would not disagree with that, Taylor. And nationally, when I've been on different programs and they've asked me my perspective, I've said, look, I am nothing but grateful, not only for how accessible Doug Peterson and his staff, his players have been over the last 3 years, professional that they've been with us. I have no ill will, but I also look at the league big picture and where it's trending in terms of offensive scheme, in terms of defensive scheme, in terms of interactions between players and coaches, interactions between coaches within a coaching staff and holding each other accountable. And I look at where that's headed, and that is where I question, are the Jaguars moving at that same pace as the rest of the National Football League? And ultimately, even if Doug isn't the quote-unquote problem, the buck has to stop with the head coach. Mm-hmm. I know there's some of you out there that are mad that I didn't say the general manager, but that's an argument for another time. Yeah. They are on the same, if only according to Shad Khan, if power is a pyramid at the Miller Electric Center, they're on the same tier. So you could make the argument for the general manager too, if you would like to.
To me, we spend a lot of the offseason talking about player procurement, and that falls under the general manager side of things. And to me, when we get in season, it's time to evaluate the head coach and his coaching staff, because they're the ones in control. Once the calendar turns to training camp at the end of July, they're the ones in control of what's on the football field. It's just right here in Jacksonville, over in London, wherever they've played, it feels like there is no control. Yeah. And you mentioned those defensive penalties. It was at that moment that I thought this season is sunk. When we saw Darby with the hold twice in a row, it was like, how does that happen? They just flagged you for that. How on earth do you let that happen again? I can't put that on just Darby. I think that's coaches too. Yeah. I do wonder if the Bears staff, Taylor, went to the officials at halftime and said, we're noticing some of their corners, not specifically just Darby, but we're noticing some of their corners hold our guys because they can't keep up with them. And so we want you to pay attention to that in the second half, because we didn't see that in the first half. And if they did, then smart on them.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that another conversation when it comes to this is you also don't want the continuation of regression of players. And if this coaching staff from already feels like we're seeing a lot of players take a step back, and I can go through a long list of them, even though we have been very vocal about it hasn't been Trevor Lawrence's fault this last Sunday. It's not all Trevor Lawrence. Right. There have been moments where it has, and there has been moments where it feels like Trevor Lawrence isn't the same player we saw at the end of 2022, isn't doing some of the same things. Someone posted a highlight reel from the end of that season, and some of the plays that Trevor Lawrence was doing, even in situations when he was getting pressured fast, even in situations when guys were in his face in the middle, even in situations when they weren't getting the best separation, Trevor was able to make so many incredible plays, and you feel like he's not playing up to that level. So when it comes to Trevor, when it comes to several of the offensive linemen, when it comes to Devin Lloyd, when it comes to Tyson, well, we'll have to see about Tyson Campbell, I don't know, but Andre Sisco, there's so many players that I feel like have taken a step back, and they're young and they're good, and you've seen these flashes, and you don't want to get to the point where later you're like, man, they could have been really good if we would have just fired the coaching staff a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we played the cut from Pete Prisco when he said, I hope that they don't ruin the quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's certainly the thing right now is if the Jaguars win or lose on Sunday, we have to see what happens the next few weeks against really good teams. The Patriots certainly are one of the worst teams in the NFL, if not the worst. But after this Sunday, you're going to play some playoff teams. What does it look like? What does the franchise quarterback look like? That's going to be certainly all the questions that we're asking. We do appreciate Brett Coleman and EJ Snyder for their comments on the Jaguars. I'm sure it's always fun to do a podcast on the teams that have disappointed, teams like the Rams, teams like the Cowboys, certainly the Jets. I would put them in that category. The Jaguars as well. I would say the Patriots haven't been a disappointment because as we talked
expectation was
right, as we talked to Bob
way
Stacey
lower.
yesterday. Yeah, they weren't expected to be a good team. They are in a rebuilding mode.
Taylor, I do want you to know that the Heeligans on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures are all in on what you are selling. From 574, ding, 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 ding. Doug was needed to heal, but that time has passed. He needed to change to optimize a more talented team, but never did. Similarly, Gus Bradley was perfect for the 2013 season because it had zero talent and they needed a cheerleader. He never reformed himself and was outdated by 2016.
All right, good point. Let's listen to this week's Me As My Bookie Picks.
Now, Mia's Midday My Bookie Picks. Experience the Vegas thrill from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere, only with My Bookie.
All right, so self-admitted, 1 of 4 last week. However, that was including a big Northwestern win against the Terps in College Park. Fade September, Maryland, folks. So, hey, if we can improve on that 1 for 4 mark, we'll take it. Let's hit it, RJ, beginning with Thursday Night Football tonight. The Saints hosting the Broncos. The Broncos are 3-point favorites. Saints have lost 4 in a row. Look, I do not think that this is by any means the greatest show on turf, even if Clint Kubiak's own offense has at the very least created more space. They won't have Chris Olave. They won't have Shaheed.
Yeah, I'm
won't
really
have
upset.
just keep getting rocked.
I'm upset for Rashid Shaheed if it ends up being, it hasn't been determined yet, but if it ends up being an ACL that he's done for the season, it could just be a meniscus, and that's what I hope and pray for that kid because, I mean, he is such a great player and such a great person, too.
Everything is going against the Saints, so I will take the home dogs +3. In college football this evening, Boston College heads to Blacksburg to face Virginia Tech. Boston College, a 7.5-point dog. Our friend AJ Black, who covers the Eagles up in Boston for 247 Sports, was quick to note Virginia Tech's rushing defense, ranked 100th in the country, allows 170.8 yards per game on the ground. I know it's a tough place to play. I know BC has kind of leveled off, let's say, after such a hot start to the season. There are BC fans calling for Tommy Castellanos' job. I don't know, ladies. I see that 170 rushing yards per game allowed, and I think Tommy, at the very least, can cover that 7.5-point spread, and they lose by a touchdown. So give me BC +7.5.
Castellanos has 12 touchdowns, 4 picks, and then just under 1,000 yards.
And they're calling for his job.
Yeah.
I was just reading AJ's
Who exactly
tweets.
are they supposed to play behind him?
The kid who threw 3 quarters against Western Kentucky when Tommy was out that game.
Against Western Kentucky?
Yes, who struggled. Yes, that kid.
I'm going to defend him, Castellanos, that is, because he's from near here.
Ware County, baby. Friday night FBS football. This is how I landed on that Northwestern +11 last week. I'm going to do it again. Purdue +28 against Oregon. I would never take the Boilermakers on the money line, folks. I'm not that crazy, especially after Oregon just ascended to the number 2 ranking in the nation. But Oregon, coming off of that emotional win over Ohio State on home turf, now has one less day of rest, has to fly cross country to the sinkhole that is West Lafayette, Indiana. Sorry, Taylor's Indiana roots. You guys are more South Bend, so we're cool.
Yeah.
You know West Lafayette is a sinkhole.
Mm-hmm.
Purdue was down 27-3 to Illinois, a top 25 ranked Illinois last week, and somehow, some way came all the way back to force overtime. Did they expend too much energy? Maybe, but I think they'll cover that 28-point line by virtue of weird things happening in Power 4 football on Friday nights this fall. So give me the home dogs, Purdue, plus 28. And finally,
Purdue is 1-5.
Let's get weird.
Doesn't matter. Listen, weird things have been happening. I mean, go down the line. Syracuse,
a lot of
with
weird
what was it? SMU a couple weeks ago. Like weird things keep happening.
Just saying,
Utah,
Purdue's
Arizona
terrible.
State, but they're going to cover the 28 points.
Dylan Gabriel, good.
Dylan Gabriel, listen. As long as they get the win, they're going to be happy.
Yeah.
Again, weird things happen on Fridays, especially in West Lafayette, Indiana. Finally, the WNBA Finals last night. Shout out to Sabrina Ionescu. The game-winning three with 1 second to go from the logo, her best Caitlin Clark impression. There are those who will say she was Caitlin Clark before Caitlin Clark. Sure, okay, cool. Do love Ionescu, though. I also do love the Minnesota Lynx. I can't quit them. They did cover a 3.5-point spread last night. Sorry for those of you who took them on the money line. I have them, at the very least, covering a 3-point spread on Friday night in Game 4, forcing a winner-take-all Game 5 Sunday at the Barclays Center. The Lynx, again, 16-5 now at home this season, 5-2 in the postseason. I can't get away from that. The fact that, yes, they had a 15-point lead and, collapsed. It's okay because the Liberty did the same thing at home in Game 1. So give me the Lynx +3. A lot of underdogs here. Actually, all 4 of Mia's Midday MyBookie picks are all the underdogs. I'm taking the Saints +3, Boston College at Virginia Tech +7.5, Purdue +28 versus Oregon, and finally the Lynx +3 against the Liberty. Make sure you head on over to mybookie.ag. You sign up using promo code 1010XL in order to claim a double deposit bonus up to $1,000. And as I mentioned earlier in the program, risk-free Thursdays. If you bet on Thursday and your bet doesn't hit, that's okay. They'll refund your money. So get your bets in on Thursdays.
All right, we will turn our attention to college football when we return. Adam Lichtenstein of the Sun Sentinel will join us, and we'll talk all things Miami, Louisville. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
1010XL, where we share great moments.
Great moments are born from great opportunity.
1010XL.
And that's what you have here.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Did you know you can charge the all-new Honda Electric Prologue in the same receptacle as your phone? You don't need any special charging stations at your home. Simply plug in your Honda or your phone. See your local Honda dealer now. We're electrified.
Joe C. for Hard Rock Bet, and we're knee-deep in football season. If you haven't tried Hard Rock Bet yet, it's time. And if you don't win your first bet, you get up to $100 back for a second chance, paid as a bonus bet. HardRock.bet has it all, everything in the game. Bet on TDs, passing yards, total points, who wins, and so much more. College football, too, with big-time conference play heating up. It's all at HardRock.bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Are you ready to upgrade your home? Experience the winning combination of style and performance with Renewal by Andersen, energy-efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors. Buy 4 windows or patio doors and get the 5th free. Plus, 0 down, no payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer expires October 31st and restrictions apply. Renewal by Andersen, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com for details.
License number CGC 1527613.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a gravy taster from Jacksonville, Florida, me, Dennis Mosley. Hi, Ken. Okay, Dennis. 100 plumbers surveyed, top answer on the board. What does it mean if someone says your home has hard water?
It's made of ice? Let's see, hard water. Oh, is it club soda mixed 4-to-1 with vodka?
Last chance, Dennis. What is hard water?
Oh, is it that lime scale stuff that makes my taps all crusty?
That's right, Dennis. And a water treatment system from Bueller Air and Plumbing will eliminate troublesome lime scale deposits that can ruin your expensive appliances and let your neighbors know for sure that you are cool.
wonder if I can get me a gin and tonic faucet.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Joint replacement surgery is always a tough decision, but relief from chronic pain may be just around the corner. Dr. George Barra here, and there's a lot to consider to make sure you get the proper diagnosis and best path back to the range of motion and mobility you had. Age, lifestyle, and overall health all play a part. Let the team at Barra Orthopedics give you a full analysis to help you make the best decision. Log on to BarriorOrthopedics.com or call the office to make an appointment. With offices across Jacksonville and ready to help you feel good again, we'll get you back on the road to recovery at Barra Orthopedics.
Guys, don't suffer through this season with prostate, bladder, or kidney issues. Ackerman Urology has 4 convenient locations with advanced urological care to improve your health and vitality. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe. I want to talk to you about picking the right battles to fight in this life. Every day, we have opportunities to get upset and angry. But I want you to realize that sometimes you have to ignore in this life so that you can soar into the kingdom of heaven. My encouragement, friends, to you is to pick the right battles to fight. Fight only battles that help you draw closer to God, because you have to ignore so that you can soar.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Atlantic Self-Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home, or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self-Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving? They can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
Meet Zara, talking about his experience with BioTarget regenerative therapy at injury care centers.
I came to injury care centers because I'm an old football player, and some of my old injuries were beginning to catch up with me. I couldn't do what I used to do without having severe pain. I felt the improvements from the BioTargeting almost immediately. Very few places would guarantee their work because, doctors, they say they're practicing medicine, so you're essentially just an experiment. The folks at injury care centers offering a 100% money-back guarantee lets you know that they take your well-being very seriously.
Stop masking your pain with harmful medications. There's a better solution. BioTarget regenerative therapy has helped countless others, and it can help you too. Call 904-92-REGEN or visit GoBioTarget.com today.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update, brought to you by Riddle Wellness. The second half of the season has arrived and Florida State is dialed in, focused on the future, while trying to steal a few of the final 6 games. Knowles and the Duke Blue Devils face off in an ACC Friday night matchup at 7 o'clock. Knowles head coach Mike Norvell spoke post-practice on the urgency to finish plays and fight for the ball.
The fight, it's a fight for the ball, and that's something that we need to see improvement there defensively, which I thought there were some good moments of that today. And then, obviously offensively, we got to finish plays. We got to make sure that, if it's coming down to man on man, it's a hunger for the ball that you make sure you put yourself in the best position and then finding a way to finish with it.
Following another challenging ACC matchup, the undefeated Miami Hurricanes head up to Louisville for a Saturday afternoon contest against the Cardinals at 12. It's 66 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
All right, well, let's pivot away from talking about Jaguars football for a little bit and head over to college football, which seems like it's a little more fun right now. We are joined on the Garber Auto Mall phone line by Adam Lichtenstein. He's joined us a few times here. He covers the Miami Hurricanes, beat writer for the Sun Sentinel. So, Adam, thanks so much for hopping on and joining us again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And, talking about the undefeated Hurricanes, probably a little more fun than the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, a 6-0 football team against the 4-2 Louisville Cardinals. Definitely a little more exciting right now. So let's start. Obviously, the Canes coming off a bye week. Both of their last games have required double-digit second-half comebacks by them. So what do you think their main focus was during this bye week now and then heading out and facing Louisville?
Well, I think, in addition to obviously game planning for Louisville, I think their biggest focus is focus. They had a players-only meeting last week, basically to make sure everyone's on the same page, to make sure that, they stay focused, that they're all locked in. And I think we'll see that on Saturday. We'll see if they fall into a hole again, because really their last three games against USF, they were in a dogfight until halftime, and they pulled away. Then obviously they fall in a hole to Virginia Tech, come back and win that game. They fall in an even deeper hole against Cal. They come back and win that game. But you can't keep, pulling a rabbit out of a hat every week. You need to, if you're a good team and you want to be a playoff team, you need to be able to pull away from opponents early and put games away and not be in danger of, of losing and having the games in the hands of, a referee or a last-second drive to win a game. So I just think they need to come out focused, because if you look at the teams on paper, they should beat Louisville. Louisville's a good team. I think Miami should be a great team. So I think they should win this game. It's a matter of coming out focused and being ready to play.
Adam, I want to take one step back. You did make the trip out to Berkeley for the game against Cal. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I did. I was out there.
Okay. I saw your tweets. That's why I assumed you were out there, about the locker room, about the absolute sheer joy of that 3-score comeback in the fourth quarter. Let's go back here 2 weeks. I know that the Canes are coming off of their bye. They've had time to reset. How dramatic, how important of a victory was that win over Cal in the context of not only this season, but of Mario Cristobal's tenure in Miami?
Well, I'll tell you this. It was dramatic enough that my game story was written. It was done in the third quarter. And then once they made it 38-32, I started writing a new version of it, and no one will ever see the old version of it ever again. But, yeah, no, what's the old saying? I think it was Bobby Bowden saying, first you lose big, then you lose close, then you win close, then you win big. They won this game close. And Mario has said things to this effect over the last few weeks that, some of these teams in the past, not just his Miami teams, but maybe some of the Miami teams that have been mediocre over the last 2 decades, find ways to lose these games. They don't have these last-minute drives against Virginia Tech. They don't, have this furious comeback in the last, 25 minutes of the game against Cal, coming out of a 25-point hole. Everyone talks about the offense. The defense had to get the stops and keep Cal from putting more points on the board to complete that comeback. It was a whole team effort there. So, it really, I don't want to say, a win against an unranked team as entertaining and dramatic as it was as a signature win, but I think it does say a lot about this team and how the culture has grown and how resilient they are, that they didn't just kind of, say, okay, we'll get them next time when they were down 25 points. They fought literally until the very end. Like, that's a cliche for coaches, but, Miami in their last 2 games has shown that they will, and they can do that, and they can pull out wins late in games.
Adam, let's talk about one of the Heisman frontrunners in Cam Ward, the quarterback. I feel like his experience is the reason that the Canes have been able to come back and win these games. Mario Cristobal, did he know just how good Cam Ward would be? And, oh, by the way, since we're going back in time, was that a catch by Virginia Tech or no?
I think it was not a catch.
Okay.
I don't think I'm biased. I don't think I think I even tweeted in the moment. I was actually watching that game from home because I was sick that day. But watching those replays, I was like, I don't think he ever caught the ball, but I also didn't know if there was enough to overturn it. I think they got the call right eventually. But, Cam Ward, I think Cristobal had a good idea of what they were getting, but obviously he's exceeded all their wildest hopes. He's been fantastic. He's a kind of a gunslinger quarterback. He's going to make mistakes, like we saw that against Cal, where he, kind of threw the ball across his body and floated it for a pick six. That's obviously not great, but that's also kind of what you get with the Cam Ward experience. And I think the good definitely outweighs the bad. He's, near the top or at the top of basically every quarterback category in the nation. He's been phenomenal. And the thing is, he thinks he can be better. We talked to him, he had a press conference yesterday, and another reporter asked Cam Ward, how would you grade your first half? And he said it was mid. I was like, if this is mid, then God only knows what good is. 8 touchdowns a game, 500, 600 yards a game. Like, if that's only mid, then, good is going to be spectacular.
Adam, let's talk a little bit about the game this weekend. So Louisville's offense, you mentioned at the top a little bit. Cardinals, 21st in EPA per play in the country, average more than 7 yards per play, ranked 15th in explosive rate. What type of test are you expecting them to be for this Miami secondary?
Yeah, it's definitely the biggest test for the Hurricanes so far. They're definitely an explosive team. Tyler Shuck is having a great year. Isaac Brown, a South Florida kid from Homestead, he's having a great year as a freshman. So there's Corey Brooks, another South Florida kid, excellent receiver. So yeah, definitely a big test, especially considering Miami's defense has not played amazing their last 2 games. Against Virginia Tech, they had a bunch of missed tackles. They fixed that issue for the Cal game, but then obviously got hit with a bunch of explosive plays before buckling down late. So, like I said earlier, they can't come out like that. They can't, they have to be focused. They have to fix those issues on defense. And the issue for them is the secondary. That was the biggest question mark coming into the year. First, it looked like it was going to be maybe a non-issue and they would do pretty well. But once they got into conference play, those issues have kind of crop back in or creep back in. They're missing one of their starting defensive backs, and Damari Brown. He's been out since week 1. Don't know when he'll be back, but it seems like a relatively serious injury from what Mario Cristobal's kind of hinted at. So, it's up to those guys. Daryl Porter is typically a solid corner. Jadis Richard, De'Ani Hill, O.J. Frederica, freshman. They kind of have to buckle down because it's going to be their biggest test so far.
Adam Lickenstein is our guest from the Florida Sun Sentinel, joining us on the Garber Auto Mall hotline. One factoid on offense, Adam, that's interesting to me when it comes to the Canes. Damian Martinez certainly, I think, is the most underrated player, an underrated cog in the machine of this offensive operation. But it's surprising to me to see that the run game only ranks 5th in rushing yards this season in the ACC when you consider not only Martinez, but the 1-2 punch with last year's freshman sensation in Mark Fletcher. I'm curious, do you believe that knowing Mario Cristobal's MO as a former offensive lineman at the U, will they lean more into those 2 players in the run game down the stretch run of this season?
I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I was actually talking about this earlier today with Damian Martinez. He's gotten his opportunities. I don't think he's hurt or anything. He's still their starting running back. He's been a little less explosive than I expected. I think he's averaging 4.5 yards a carry when he was averaging over 6 at Oregon State. So a little less explosive. And, they're not giving him the ball 25 times a game because they don't have to because, like you said, they have Mark Fletcher. They've got Jordan Lyle. They've got Chris Johnson and A.J. Allen. They can kind of share the load a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of lean on the running game if they can. If they get things going in the running game, they're going to use it. But when you have a quarterback like Cam Ward, if he's cooking, you let him cook. If Cam Ward's having a great game, you're going to let him throw the ball and not have to worry about having a, quote unquote balanced offense. You do what works. So far, Cam Ward, passing the ball, it's been working. They haven't had to run the ball down people's throats as much. And they did struggle to do it for a couple weeks as well. They got a little better against Cal. I think Mark Fletcher had a pretty good game 2 weeks ago. But, they've got the ability to run the ball. It's just about, getting things, opening up holes. And if they need to rely on that, I think they can do that.
In today's day and age of everyone leaving when things don't go well, it feels like Xavier Restrepo probably was offered by lots of places, but he decided to stay at Miami. How important has his impact been?
He's an incredible player. I've watched him since he was in high school. I always thought he was a good player and probably a little underrated. And then he broke out last year and showed he's one of the conference's best receivers, if not one of the nation's best receivers. He's one of those guys, it always seems like he's open. He's the reliable receiver. If you throw it near him, he's going to get his hands on it. He's going to make the catch. We've seen him this year make some. It seems like every week he's making some death-defying catch where he's jumping in the air and bending backwards and reaching out his arms and doing something that would, break my spine if I even attempted it. He's really a stellar player. Watching him develop into this over the last couple seasons has really been fun to watch. And now he's putting up numbers that, like, if you said when he got recruited that he was going to be a top 5 player in UM history in receiving yards and in receptions, and he's climbing up the list in touchdowns as well, top 10, I think a lot of people would be surprised because he kind of like maybe fit more. People thought of him maybe more as a Braxton Berrios slot receiver kind of guy, not somebody who's going to put up career numbers that rivaled Michael Irvin. But that's where he is now. He's got 6 more games left of his college career in the regular season, at least, than the postseason. He's within range of leaving UM as the all-time leading receiver, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, considering the history of receivers that have come through Miami, guys like Michael Irvin, Santana Moss, Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, and so on and so forth, and he could leave with more receiving yards than all of them.
Adam, since we're talking Restrepo, I do have to tell you, I already have him as my way too early Senior Bowl standout. I don't even, the Senior Bowl hasn't even sent out invites yet, but I can't help but feel like Xavier Restrepo won't take that same trajectory as Ladd McConkey, Roman Wilson, Ricky Pearsall did a year ago and suddenly ascend into more of a national conversation and perhaps propel himself up draft boards if he has a good showing in those postseason games.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible because he's one of those guys, like, he's not running a 4.2 40 like Xavier Worthy. He's not 6'5". He's just really, really good. Like I said, he's a great route runner, has great hands. He seems like he's always open. He was, Mr. Reliable for Tyler Van Dyke when Van Dyke was the quarterback at Miami. And everyone talked, they're roommates, and that's why they have such great chemistry. And then you bring in Cam Ward, and, Cam Ward finds the same thing in him. Finds whenever he needs to get rid of the ball, Xavier Restrepo's there. He puts the ball anywhere within arm's reach of him, he's there. He's going to catch it. So, yeah, I can definitely see that where he might not pop like a Jeremiah Smith or a Ryan Williams or an Isaiah Bond or one of those guys, but he's going to put up numbers like anyone. He's got the skill. He's a really talented player.
Adam, we talked a little bit about Cam Ward and the things he's really good at. One of the things that just stood out to me the most, and Leon Searcy here, obviously, Miami Hurricane legend, has made the comments of he's almost too calm for him at times, but it just feels like it's worked because even when he does make a mistake and some of those turnovers or when they do have big deficits, he's able to come back. So obviously that name is in the mix with some other names for the Heisman, and Ashton Genty, who's just been really, really fun to watch, Dylan Gabriel, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck. Thoughts on some of those names, and what do you think Ward's best shot is on this second half of the season of getting his name even more out there for that Heisman?
Yeah, I mean, if I had a Heisman ballot, which I don't, I think my top 3 would be in no order yet: Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, and Ashton Genty. All 3 incredible players. Although hopefully, I think Travis Hunter's hurt. I don't know if he's coming back or not, but I don't cover Colorado. But I mean, Miami's second half of the season, like there should be plenty of opportunities for him to put up big numbers. You got FSU, who have just been, a disaster class so far this year. You can put up big numbers against them. They have Wake Forest, who is having, a not so great season. They're not, probably one of the lower teams in the ACC. Duke at home, which, Manny Diaz always has a good defense, but, I don't think Duke is an exceptionally good team. So there's plenty of opportunities. And Syracuse, who off the top of my head, I don't think has a great defense, but there's plenty of opportunities for him to put up numbers. And, I think when the end of the year rolls around, he'll still be a Heisman candidate. I would not be surprised at all to see him in New York.
Adam, final thing. I'm on the Hurricanes website, and I see the spot anytime you go to a player's bio where there's NIL opportunities. Do you know how frequently that's actually used? Because I haven't seen that on other school sites.
That's a great question. I don't actually know. I've seen that as well. I don't know. I don't know how often people are going in and buying jerseys of specific players and stuff like that. I will say I've seen plenty of Miami Hurricanes #1 jerseys around Hard Rock Stadium and even on the road when Hurricanes fans travel. So people are buying those for sure. I think Cam Ward. I mean, I think everyone's thrilled with what they've seen from him so far. I mean, why wouldn't you be? So I think Miami's NIL, their collective and what they've got going is pretty good. I don't know how often people are going to the website to buy that stuff, but hey, if it puts some extra money in the hands of the players, then good for them.
All right, sounds good. We'll certainly have a good time this weekend as the Canes take on the Cardinals.
Yeah, will do. Looking forward to going up to Louisville and getting some good whiskey.
Yes, absolutely. This sounds good. Thanks so much, Adam.
Thank you.
Yeah, so here are the things that you can buy. A shout out, and there's no pricing listed, but you can buy a shout out from a player.
So like a cameo.
Yep. You can buy an appearance at an event.
Okay.
You can buy a post, a social media post. You can buy an autograph. And then you can also engage with them as far as brand or business usage.
Always be marketing, folks.
I mean, that's so incredibly smart.
Very forward thinking.
But no, I have not seen that on other websites. And like he said, I'm not sure how often people are doing these specifically, because this isn't buying a jersey. This is just specifically
All
buying
those other little things.
Yeah, those
Let's
little
get that
things.
on the 1010 site.
Taylor will come to your event for this just a small fee. By the way, did you realize that Mario Cristobal's nephew is on the football team?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a right guard for the Canes. All right, when we return, Taylor has a tangent. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
This is Helmets and Heels. This hour is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. Now, 1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
What did I do?
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
Go on.
Ignorance is bliss.
I'm listening to everything you say.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Imagine driving a late model Corvette, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Honda, Chevy, Ford, and more, all at a fraction of the original sticker price. Visit Vaughn Motor Group's indoor showroom and browse a great selection of dream cars that are inspected with warranties. Before you make your next auto purchase, check out Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard or at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
Are you embarrassed by your ugly, cracked concrete driveway? Need to enhance your home's curb appeal? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop shop for all your outdoor needs. Replacing with new stone pavers will transform your driveway into a stunning work of art. Say goodbye to unsightly concrete and hello to beautiful, durable pavers that last for years. Visit Stonecore today and let's beautify your home together. Stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Roof damage? Call before you claim. Green Law Group, fighting insurance companies for you. They will work for you when you have roof damage. Don't let your insurance deny you. Don't call an adjuster. Call Green Law Group at 904-302-7055. Remember, if you have roof damage, call Green Law Group before you claim. They've settled millions and will work hard to get your claim and new roof. Green Law Group. Call before you claim. 904-302-7055.
Your school, your colors. There's something special about football under the Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Friday Night Lights with Hacker and Andrew Gibson. Presented by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
Are spooky plumbing problems haunting your home this Halloween? Don't be scared. Call Duck Duck Rooter, your ghost-busting plumbing heroes.
Hi there, I'm Brian, your friendly plumber. Is your toilet making ghostly groans? Or is your sink dripping like a vampire's fangs?
Don't let plumbing problems give you the heebie-jeebies. Call Duck Duck Rooter at 904-862-6769 and chase those spooky issues away.
Duck Duck Rooter, because even plumbing nightmares deserve a happy ending. Quacktastic service guaranteed.
Hey, it's Matt Hayes, and I speak for everyone here at 1010XL when I say congratulations, Hacker. 100 pounds lost with a Wake 180 is a huge milestone, and we are so proud of you. Life-changing, life-enhancing. Awaken180weightloss.com.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval Sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval Sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey Jacksonville, it's Lauren Brooks from Helmets and Heels. If your car needs an oil change, now's the perfect time to visit Big Chief Tire. They're offering $10 off your next oil change at any of their 5 locations across Jacksonville. Their expert technicians will get you in and out quickly so your car stays in top shape. Visit BigChiefService.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule your appointment today. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling. That's BigChiefService.com or 904-932-0950.
Hey, Prosser here to save you some cash. Maximize your home sale now with the market experts who deliver more money in less time, and those experts are Chad and Sandy Newman. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades needed to sell your home. You don't have to worry. The worries are relieved with Chad and Sandy, the local real estate experts we are trusting and recommending with the sale of your home. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Mortgage rates are down. It's time to create your market. Marvin in Cobblestone writes, my siblings and I moved our parents to Maryland so they can get some extra help as they get older. Next, we had to sell the home to get them some financial help for their extra care. We hired Chad and Sandy, and they delivered big. Chad and Sandy's team got our home sold in 7 days above asking price. You can too. Call Chad and Sandy today, 904-414-6200, or go to chadandsandy.com. That's Chad, ANDSANDY.com.
Budweiser reminds us to drink wiser, like hydrating between beers. It keeps the fun going longer, and it's a commitment to responsibility. Remember, good times are ahead, so no need to overdo it. Know when to say when, and always designate a driver.
Pickett here with my concierge doctor, Richard Townsend. Doc T, how does a concierge direct primary care operate?
We are a membership-based primary care made directly between the patient and physician. We'll have a limited amount of patients that allows us to give unlimited access and personal service to you. This individualized approach has been shown to lower hospitalizations as well as maintain healthier lives. We also give 24/7 access via phone to me outside of our scheduled office hours.
To learn more, go to mypvconcierge.com.
This right here is as good as it gets. This is life getting lived without obligations or complications. This is filling your cup and savoring the moment. This is the gift of presence, served to you in a place where there's room for everyone and enough to go around. And the best part, it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Light up your lunch with Helmets and Heels.
Presented by First Coast Lighting and Fans.
On 1010XL.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Thursday. We're not normally here on Thursdays due to Jaguars programming, but the Frangie Show has off today. Frank over in London for the whole week, and then Hayes headed over to London yesterday, so they'll both be taking in the game at Wembley Stadium. By the way, real quick before we get to your tangent, Taylor, did y'all see another great quote by none other than Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh? Did you see his quote?
I don't think so.
Well, he's fresh off of the arrhythmia scare.
Correct. And his quote is, I have the heart of an athlete.
Yep. That checks out.
He then flexed after
crazy.
telling reporters that that's what his cardiologist told him. I just had to share that.
It was a little, because they had to go get John. He was like in the middle of his press conference, and they had to go grab him and be like,
just
hey,
so you
come
know,
here, your
right,
brother's
your
in
brother,
the medical tent. And I'm like, that I'm sure is scary for a moment, but yep, that's Jim for you.
He's always wacky, always quirky, and we used to always laugh because he'd take his shirt off and stuff. But now that he's an NFL head coach, I thought he'd be a little bit more streamlined.
No, just as unhinged, just as out of pocket. And I was doing in preparation for our show today, podcast, et cetera, and looking at the Patriots numbers. I was perusing, of course, the entire National Football League, and just the sheer amount of time that they run the ball compared to dropbacks. I mean, Justin Herbert has dropbacked. I think the number was 153 times through 6 games this year. Like, look, I think it's a positive, despite Herbert, whether you agree or not, being a top 10 quarterback in terms of sheer talent. I think it's a positive that now they're creating this run game that is their identity and can help him and allow for him to not necessarily be the sole item on the scouting report that defenses are preparing for. But it's just hilarious because at this point it feels like a bit, because this is who Jim Harbaugh was at Michigan. This is who he was in San Francisco, and this is who he remains, albeit a little bit more modernized in 2024.
I just tweeted about that actually earlier because someone said that the Chargers are in for possibly trading for Mike Williams, and I was like, imagine the Chargers with Mike Williams. Oh, they had him. But it is, I get they wanted to get that run game going. Austin Eckler's a fantastic running back, but he just unfortunately had issues staying on the field was their thing. When Eckler was there, their run game was there. But I think we heard this whole offseason that they wanted to bulk up their trenches. They wanted to make it a bit more of a tough, rugged type of offense versus what they've had in the last couple years. But I was like, Chase Daniel posted and was like, go get Justin Herbert a number 1 wide receiver. And I was like, imagine trading all of your weapons. Like over 60% of Justin Herbert's career touchdowns went to Keenan Allen, Gerald Everett, Austin Eckler, and Mike Williams, and you traded all 4 in one offseason.
Or let them walk.
Yes, and then now you're like, never mind, we need one of you. It's a little crazy. They did some weird stuff this offseason, but it's fine. He has 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, Justin Herbert on the season.
At the end of the day, as much as so many pick them as the dark horse to go from worst to first, because there's always one team that does that, they ultimately, I think the expectations of the Los Angeles Chargers in year 1 under Jim Harbaugh were lofty for a team that picked 5th in the NFL draft. But ultimately, I think at the same time, this is year 1 of a rebuild, of a reset, of finding a new identity. And guess what? It's okay. Even when you have a 26-year-old quarterback who's a top 10 talent, it's okay to say, you know what? We need to recreate the ecosystem around him. And certainly the Jim Harbaugh way is always going to be one of one. But look, it may not turn into a playoff bid this year, but there is a clear path forward. And yes, Jim also has the heart of an athlete, which is a big reason why they are leaning into athletes, because an offensive lineman can be as much of a threat as a wide receiver.
Yeah, they needed to protect him because he's gotten hurt the last couple of seasons, gotten banged up a lot. All right, right now, Taylor Dahl has a tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
So speaking of some wide receivers that are in new places or could be in new places, these two are. We talked about Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper. We heard about him getting traded. Also, I think that was 2 of the names that were floating around about potential wide receivers that could find new teams. So I don't think anybody is incredibly surprised, and especially with the Bills. Khalil Shakir battling injuries lately, and that was kind of their main guy. And without him, you do need somebody else. So I think Amari Cooper, honestly, could be a really good fit in Buffalo. We'll see how that goes. But it brought me to this article that The Athletic wrote, and it was the history of in-season wide receiver trades and how they've worked out for teams around the league. Spoiler alert, not very well, usually, those in-season wide receiver trades. So it says that there have been 34 in-season wide receiver trades since 2000. Of those, 17 included at least a 4th-round draft pick, and in hindsight, most didn't pan out. The list. Chase Claypool, that was an absolute hot mess. The Bears gave a second, ended up being a first because it was the 32nd pick that they ended up giving for Chase Claypool, and he did absolutely nothing in Chicago and then is now gone. Calvin Ridley for the Jags, 3rd and 4th were sent for him. Some people may say it wasn't terrible. You got 1,000 yards out of him, but then nothing. And so not sure anybody would count that as a win. Kadarius Toney, Chiefs gave up a 3rd and a 6th. Emmanuel Sanders, 49ers, 3rd and a 4th. This is what the teams got for them, obviously. Got a 3rd and a 4th. Mohamed Sanu, a 2nd. That was the Patriots. That was one of the worst things Bill Belichick and crew have probably done ever. Golden Tate, the Eagles gave up a 3rd. Demarius Thomas, a 4th and a 7th. Amari Cooper, a 1st. Kelvin Benjamin, a 3rd and a 7th. Randy Moss, a 3rd. Deion Branch, a 4th. Braylon Edwards, 2 players plus a 3rd and a 5th. Roy Williams, a 1st, a 3rd, and a 7th. Chris Chambers, a 2nd. And Deion Branch, a 1st. So they're pretty much saying it's difficult to do this in season. And I think there's a lot of factors to this. I think sometimes, obviously, when you go through that list, some of those aren't the best of receivers also getting traded. Some of them were on the end of their careers when you see them traded in those situations. Sometimes it's just you're sending them to a whole new offense in the middle of a season, and it's harder for certain guys to kind of get acclimated to that. Especially when certain things are already maybe not working, because if you're making that midseason wide receiver move, you're probably doing it because the offense isn't working the way that you wanted. So of the 17 receivers acquired for a significant capital midseason, only 5 were obvious success is on their list. So their list is Chris Chambers. He averaged 55.5 yards per game for the Chargers in 2007. They made the AFC Championship that year. Braylon Edwards gave Mark Sanchez and the 2009 Jets a deep threat, averaging 45.1 yards per game on a team that reached the AFC Championship. Deion Branch, who was reunited with his old quarterback Tom Brady, averaged 64.2 yards per game in 2010 before a divisional round loss to the Jets. Amari Cooper, also a familiar name, was the best midseason acquisition, contributing 80.5 yards per game for the 2018 Cowboys, who lost to the eventual NFC champions, the Rams, in the divisional round. And then Emmanuel Sanders, who averaged 50.2 yards per game for the Niners in 2019 and helped them reach the Super Bowl. So they say despite the positives that point to success for both Adams and Cooper, acquiring talented receiver is often a gamble. Randy Moss was cut by the Vikings after 4 games. Roy Williams averaged fewer than 20 yards per game in Dallas, etc. These moves are rarely massive success stories. I could see both of these being success stories.
So 5 of 17. So that's roughly what, like a 35% batting average?
5 of 34, right?
No,
it's 5 of 7. So 5 of the 17, but 5 of 34 trades, but 5 of 17 that acquired significant capital.
Right. Okay.
The 17 were only significant capital. The rest of them were kind of like,
right. So
here's
34
but
total.
we're filing Cooper and
Devontae and significant
into,
capital.
Right.
Capital.
So 29%.
So again, I think with Cooper it's different because that is a Bills unit that has largely been together. From the quarterback to the head coach to the front office. Ultimately, they had to say goodbye to some expensive pieces on offense because they paid the quarterback. At the same time, the quarterback has been able to throw to no names to the point that they could release MVS just scotch-free, essentially. That's why I have high hopes there. Davante Adams, I at this point, it just feels like a bit.
Yeah.
It's and maybe that's why I don't want to believe it's possible, but I also will bring it to this and a conversation in this town.
Should they trade for Mercedes Lewis too, by the way, the Jets?
Honestly, I mean, I'll let Taylor answer that because that's her team. He is an emotional. He's an emotional
get
support.
like Robert Tunyon.
He doesn't really do anything for you. Come on,
emotional support animal.
He's like the Jason Hayward of the 2016 Cubs.
Emotional support stuffed animals. He needs to collect all of them. Aaron Rodgers does. I'll bring it to this town and say this, and this is a conversation I don't think we've really had on this program this week. Evan Ingram went for over 100 yards in his return on Sunday. Brian Thomas Jr. had 3 catches for 27 yards. Is there an argument to be made that Evan Ingram took up some touches or some receptions that could have been populated by Brian Thomas Jr. and or play calls that could have been directed in the rookie's way? I say that's a whole
BTJ could have caught 2 passes, though.
Correct.
You have to get on him for that.
Correct. So that's over here. I bring it to the Jets and I say, yes, your ecosystem right now hasn't necessarily operated at peak efficiency, but now by adding another mouth to feed in a system in which it feels like you're not feeding all the mouths to begin with, what does that do to the structure of the offense? Does he simply plug and play and be a better Mike Williams who already had a limited role in this offense?
Mm-hmm. In other words, is Garrett Wilson going to get upset because now Davante Adams is starting to get the ball more than him and he feels like he's already worked so hard to get on the same page as Aaron Rodgers, and here comes Davante
or
to
Alan
rekindle
Lazard.
their love.
Alan Lazard's been taking
Lazard, too.
steps. So now, and honestly, he's been a pretty efficient component in that offensive machine. And so now you're just going to go away from something that works just to kind of force feed Davante Adams. Better yet, are you going to take a step away from the run game where Breece Hall finally feels like he's starting to put things together akin to his rookie season before he tore his ACL in favor of, well, we have to pass the ball to Davante Adams?
I like the Cooper trade a lot better as far as the organizations and where they are to this day.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I know we have to hit break. I think that the only thing the Jets care about is making Aaron Rodgers happy right now, and that's what makes Aaron Rodgers happy. The two of them have 69 touchdowns and almost 8,000 yards together, so there's no way you can tell me this isn't going to help the offense because that is Aaron Rodgers' guy. When those two are together, they're almost unstoppable. Everybody else gets kind of left out in the dust, but it is what it is because they can do whatever. Devontae's a really, really good wide receiver, and even in years, he's had 4 straight years with 5 out of 6 years with over 1,000 yards, and the one year he missed 3 games and still was like 3 yards away from hitting 1,000. Davante Adams is one of the best wide receivers in the league, and when he's with Aaron, it's a whole other level. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is playing the football that he was in 3-4 years ago, but I do think that Devontae helps that. I just don't know what it's going to do with this Jets team right now who has 2 wins.
I feel like Devontae arrived in New York and was like, dang, you aged, Aaron. You
got
do
old.
not look the way that you used to look. All right, right now we've got lunch on the ladies.
We do. Lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A. Give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 3.
I like it. We have one segment to go here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This hour of Helmets and Heels is brought to you by First Coast Honda Dealers. There's an energy and drama to play-by-play sports.
This crowd, a big factor.
You never know what's going to happen. Wow! Feel the energy on 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
At Garber Auto Mall, we can wiggle it. Best price, we can wiggle it. Best trade value, we can wiggle it. Best payment, we can wiggle it. Ford, Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. With 8 American brands, we can wiggle it. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or online at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there's always a little room for wiggle.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle.
Mia here for MyBookie. Our listeners have been killing it in a year full of surprises. MyBookie is the one book that's got your back. No fluff, no second guessing, straight up action. Does your other sports book pay out when you push on a bet? MyBookie pays you back. And if you're new to the game and not sure where to start, we've got you covered. Step 1, use our promo code 1010XL. That will double your bankroll with a 100% deposit bonus right from the jump. Here's a pro tip to get you rolling. The NFL teams with powerhouse offensive lines are dominating the run game this year, and betting game total unders has been printing money. Stack that with MyBookie's risk-free Thursdays. Why wait? That's right there, a new risk-free odds boost every Thursday. To find the bet, click the Bet Boost tab and scroll down. If it hits, you win. If it doesn't, MyBookie refunds your money. Sign up now and get your double deposit bonus with MyBookie, the best sign-up bonus for Florida bettors. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere with MyBookie.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Start your Saturday with a whiff of the great outdoors.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Loggeman, and we bring you the fresh air of the great outdoors.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
Hi, I'm Chuck Farah. We know how important it is for you to have a vehicle after you've been injured in a car accident. So when we represent you for your personal injury claim, we'll help you get a rental car from the insurance company while your car is being repaired. And we'll provide this service at no additional fee. If you're hurt and you've got no car, let my team go to work for you. Farah & Farah, protecting you and your family. Call us at 396-5555 or go to farahandfarah.com. Jacksonville.
Hurricane season on the First Coast can leave you in the dark, so why not get a head start on storm season with a home generator system from American Electrical? They've sold and installed more generators in Jacksonville than any other company around, with scores of whole home generator installations throughout North Florida. That's right, American Electrical has been installing and repairing thousands of generators for over a decade in Duval. Keep your loved ones and property protected. Log on to American-Electrical.com and see how they can help you.
Hi, flying Jack O'Brien here, sports fans. And now I'm going to share the absolute right way to pronounce Kuhn flowers. It's Kuhn. Kuhn flowers. Remember, use Kuhn flowers.
This is Hayden Hurst, NFL tight end. I just wanted to say how grateful I am for Dr. Lip and Active Health in Jacksonville. Wasn't sure where my career was going to go this offseason. Had a lot of issues with my back and right hip. Thought about hanging it up, but thanks to those guys, everybody at Active Health, they got me back to where I needed to be. So thankful for the Bulls Pipeline connection. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Can't wait to see where this year takes me out in LA.
Active Health Jacks can help you too. Give them a call today at 904-296-0202 or go online activehealthjacks.com.
When you're injured, you probably have more questions than answers, and all you really want is to feel better. This is Joe C., and I certainly can identify. Well, thanks to Rebound Rehab, I bounced back from a serious case of ankle tendonitis to feel pain-free, and they can do the same for you. 8 locations across the First Coast and a team of physical therapists ready to help. From laser and radio pressure wave therapy to aquatic and massage therapy, they can offer real solutions to help you rebound. Log on, reboundrehab.com, and start your path back to pain-free life.
Chelsea here. Florida homeowners, are your windows working as hard as they should? With Renewal by Andersen, our energy-efficient custom windows and doors help keep the cool air in during those scorching months. That means lower energy bills and a more comfortable home year-round. For the month of October, Renewal by Andersen has a limited time offer. Buy 4 windows and or patio doors and get the 5th one free. Some restrictions apply. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com for all the details. That's bestwindowsflorida.com. License number CGC 1527613.
Being an athlete means having a healthy desire to do as much as you can with your body for as long as you can. Gatorade has lower sugar, electrolyte-backed hydration options to keep you rehydrated and replenished. Gatorade, for every athlete.
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
This is Dr. Turner Vossler, Assistant Team Physician for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Here's the latest update on the Jaguars, brought to you by Baptist Health and JOI.
Jaguars running back Travis Etienne Jr. was limited in practice on Wednesday in London. Jaguars offensive coordinator Press Taylor has confidence in Tank Bigsby if Etienne can't go on Sunday.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I think Tank is built for that. I think that's something that he hasn't had the opportunity yet because we have a pretty good stable of backs that we want to get opportunities to, and that's just kind of the way it's gone. But that doesn't mean that hasn't been indicative of we don't have that confidence that Tank can do that. We're not going to put somebody out there that the group doesn't trust. Coaching staff, players, we have a lot of confidence in Tank if the workload were to increase moving forward.
Jaguars offensive coordinator Press Taylor from London. I'm Andrew Gibson with your Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute Jaguars update.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 1987.
I see all of your messages on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, Heeligans. I saw your live chats in Duval Rundown this morning here on Helmets and Heels at the MyBookie Digital Studio. I know you want to talk about cleaning house, clearing house. You want to talk about EVPs. You want to talk about which direction should the offense be headed. We're going to have 11 weeks for that, ultimately. I'm going to talk and cool down by discussing the Miami Hurricanes football program. Our thanks again to Adam Lickenstein of the Sun Sentinel for joining us. Miami undefeated, in control, even if it does list them as second officially in the ACC standings. And when you look at this schedule, I'm with Adam. Yes, there is a chance that Miami's, for lack of a better term, i.e., I don't know, Mario Cristobal running the ball or throwing the ball and miss-snapping and misfiring akin to Georgia Tech like they did last year. There's certainly a possibility of that. This Miami team does feel different, though. I'm curious to see. Louisville, certainly a big test, a top 25 outfit, if only in their merit and what we've seen so far. Duke, I think we'll learn a lot more about Duke when they host Florida State, which obviously isn't, necessarily the biggest, baddest guy on the block right now. But Florida State only a 3-point dog. I think we'll find something out about Manny Diaz's squad. Georgia Tech and Brent Key still hanging around. For me, though, ultimately, it's Louisville and then maybe that trip to the Carrier Dome at the end of November that present the biggest challenge right now outside of the ACC title game, presumably against Clemson, for the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, I'm going to loop back to some of the conversation in the beginning of the show when we were talking about how we feel like you have the talent, but you don't feel like the coaching staff is doing enough to bring out of the talent. And this honestly can register to conversations we've had about Florida this last week too. But part of in that bootleg breakdown when they were kind of talking about some of the problems, EJ made a comment about how the team talent perspective does not feel hopeless, but it feels hopeless with this current regime in charge. And I think that speaks volumes because it goes back to not wanting your players to regress. It goes back to some of this in-game situational football that has been a problem. And yes, their coaching staff is not dropping the passes physically. They weren't dropping those 4 touchdowns that Trevor could have had. But there are a lot of other moments in that game, especially when it comes to those penalties and backtracking your offense once you get into the red zone, that are correlated to your coaching staff. And so I think you've got to make the move sooner rather than later because you need things to start getting, even if it's not immediately fixed, but you want it to start going backwards.
Yeah, I'm going to say like Mia said, we have enough time to break down a coaching search, whether it's for the Jaguars or for the Gators in the weeks and months to come, certainly. But for the here and now, it's going to require the Jaguars, I feel like, to just play smart football on Sunday and they win a ball game and they get to fly back from London with at least the victorious feeling. And we get to have our second victory Monday on the show. Yep. I don't think the Patriots are better than the Jaguars by any stretch of the imagination. To me, it all comes down to confidence. Has this Jaguars team lost all confidence? Have they been pointing fingers at each other in the locker room and we're not privy to that? Has Doug Peterson, quote unquote, lost the locker room and things like that? If any of that is true and they've quit on each other, then they're not going to win another game in the NFL this season. But if they can come together, if they are doing the things that they tell us that they're doing, and that is practicing hard, and we see the videos from them practicing at the Grove, sure, it looks like they're doing the right things. Then it just needs to translate to the actual games. They need to get pressure on Drake May. Certainly, we said they were 27th in the league in pressures. And I think they just need to play smart football. Make sure that your linebackers are aware that Drake May is a mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
The Patriots don't have certainly the amount of weapons that the Bears have. Isn't that fun that I'm saying that, Taylor, after years of droughts on offense?
I've never heard those words.
And so, yeah, the Patriots aren't loaded over here. So play smart football. And as long as I think the confidence is there, there's a reason that Vegas has the Patriots as a 5.5-point underdog.
Yeah, and when we go through I feel like we've been saying this every week, though, and I don't know how much beating the Patriots would fix anything. I honestly think losing to the Patriots fixes more because I think that decisions get made if the Patriots embarrass you and decisions get prolonged if you beat the Patriots.
If the Patriots embarrass the Jaguars, oh my gosh.
No, it's not what I want.
Then it forces your hand. Right, it forces your hand, but ultimately...
Does it? I mean, Shad doesn't love to fire people in season.
The way I see it is they're 1-5. It hasn't been normal. Would it surprise anybody if they were not normal and somehow they get wins against the NFC North, which is the best division, statistically speaking, in football right now? It wouldn't surprise me because anything that isn't normal will happen to this franchise.
Let's do it.
But even
that would shock me.
Right, but even then, ultimately, I can't help but wonder if those wins will then mask the bigger issues.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm going with it, too, is because I think that you're only prolonging something that's going to happen. And I get it. Like, Shad hasn't been that guy to make these changes mid-season. It took until 11 weeks to make the Urban Meyer change. I believe it was 11 weeks to finally even do that. And that was just a whole other level of a disaster because I was on the field, off the field, in bars, on kicking people, everything you can imagine. But I also think that at some point, Shad does have to realize that he spoke very strong words saying that this is one of the best rosters that have been put together in his time here in Jacksonville. And if he truly believes that, then he has to believe that the coaching staff isn't putting this roster in the best positions to win. Because if you have the talent, you should not only have one win.
Win or lose, I think you're going to hear a lot of names floated, potential trades, just by virtue of the Jaguars' record right now. And again, they could turn this thing around. They could be 4-5 for all I know, and you'll still be hearing, oh, should the Jaguars be trading assets away? Because we don't know if the 33rd team just posted a hypothetical trade of sending 41 to the Lions for 2 second-round picks. Yeah.
Wow.
What world are we living in? That's not based off anything. That's based on their just theorizing.
Yeah.
The man just signed a 5-year extension. In what world would the team then trade him less than 6 months later? Like, come on, people. Please don't fall for this clickbait, excuse me, Heeligans. I believe in you more than that. Do not fall for the clickbait. Do not send it to us. We're just going to tell you to get off the internet, except for watching on 1010XL and interacting with us. Get off Twitter because, yeah, you're going to hear a lot of that. Win or
those
lose.
things, the potential trade type things are more so them saying, like, this is what it seems the value would be for this player, and they want each team to comment on whether they would take that or not take that. It's not them saying, hey, here's something that we've heard might happen. It's them saying, hey, if the Jags send Josh Hines-Allen to Detroit, would you be happy with a second round in 2025 and a second round in 2026? And I'm sure there's a lot of comments from the Jags and the Lions side saying yes and no. But that's just, though I don't see something like that happening, no way. I could see, if, especially depending what happens this weekend, some other people, I said a couple weeks ago, ETN, when we were going through some of the names. Now I'm a little concerned with that because he's beat up. Does a team want to go grab a beat up running back that hasn't really been used the right way this season? But that is a name that I could see people calling the Jags about.
Just FYI, the election day is the same day as the NFL trade deadline.
Oh, what fun! What fun!
All right, let's say hello to a snazzy person from XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill, brought to you by Injury Care Centers, the exclusive provider of BioTarget regenerative therapy for pain. Visit GoBioTarget.com for a location near you.
Dave Campo joins us all dressed up.
You look great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And hello, ladies.
Hello, Coach.
And I do not use that term loosely.
We have a Heeligan who often emails me, and on Sunday he emailed me to say, please give a hug to Coach Campo the next time you see him, because both the Jaguars and the Cowboys had really bad Sundays.
Yeah, I needed some help on Sunday for sure. Yeah, that was a rough day. You know, unfortunately, so teams have those days. But I'm as much of a fan as I am, doing the radio and TV stuff.
So, Coach, you tell us, at 1-5, how do you approach this week? If you're Doug Peterson, if you're anyone involved with the Jacksonville Jaguars organization, and then depending on what the result is, how do you approach the following week?
Well, first of all, I wasn't a great head coach now. You understand that.
You are our head coach, though,
Yeah,
and you are great at that.
But the one thing I do know is that whenever anything went bad, I never wanted anybody to ever see that I was sweating. So if I made a mistake or whatever in a press conference, I would say, hey, I made a mistake there, but here's why I made that decision. So that there was no question about what I would do in this situation is I would go in and I would say, look, guys, we're not playing very well. We're not paying attention enough. We're not doing enough off the field. For example, Evan Ingram doesn't drop the ball anymore because he practices it. Obviously, there's some guys not working hard enough. So I would bring up those things. And then I would also say, when I was with the Kansas City Chiefs, we were 1-5, and we won 10 in a row. So you could say whatever you want about statistics, but it's our responsibility to go out and win this game, and then win the next one, and then win the next one.
We shall see with the Packers on deck after this one. Coach, what's coming up?
We're going to get into a little bit of how the Cisco situation came about, and we're going to obviously talk a lot of Jags and some college in there. We got a big game with Florida this weekend. I think that's going to be a topic of the conversation.
And hey, we had Adam Lickenstein of the Sun Sentinel, who covers your Canes, on, and we were just saying, Coach, I mean, big one this weekend, but the schedule, if only on paper, looks kind of favorable. Oh, and there it
National
is. National
championship win for the University of Miami in 1987. I'm repping the Canes.
Way to pick a winning organization. Thank you, Coach. That's what I would do as well.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thanks,
There are some Sundays that I'm like, can I just be a fan of a different NFL team? It would just make
I've
my
said
life
that many
easier.
years.
All right, for Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow.